All right, guys. Married at First Sight. Season 11.
Episode 6.
6.
Says.
I don't remember what the name of the episode was called.
I don't either.
It'll be in the title. We're just gonna jump right in.
Let's get to it.
Still are on the honeymoon. We're in the last
days
of the honeymoon.
Yeah.
When I was taking notes, I missed the beginning of the episode and we had to go back and rewatch it. So I'm kind of just jumping in and then I re-added things. So let's start with Christina and Henry.
All right. Let's start with them.
I don't have a lot to say.
I have notes this week, by the way.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Being prepared.
Yeah.
Okay, so Christina and Henry. Christina wants for Henry to push her to do things more. And I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing, but I'm also looking at it from a standpoint. If every guy that you've been in a relationship with pushed you to do things and they didn't work out, maybe we should try something different.
Bring it back in.
Not saying that that's like going to absolutely work, but maybe let's just be open to being the quote unquote aggressor in the relationship. And I'm not saying that she has to be aggressive, but be the planner, be the one that does things. And, just let's see where that goes. He wants Christina to not be so impatient. And that was in one of the
in that awkward conversation with the producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. He said that she's very impatient. She was getting testy with the producers when they were asking questions. And I guess she didn't think that in most reality TV shows of any kind, they rarely break the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. And Married at First Sight, I don't know when they started breaking the fourth wall, but I know that I've seen at least 2 seasons.
They've been doing that.
They've been doing it since the beginning? Or since the first episode that you watched?
But yeah.
So breaking the fourth wall, she had to have known that she could be portrayed in unflattering light.
Right.
And with you being portrayed in unflattering light, I think that you have to take a step back before you react to things. And she's not very good at that because she was testy with the production staff at the wedding.
Yeah.
She's testy with the production staff on the honeymoon. And I get it, but you signed up for this.
Yeah.
Like nobody forced you to do this. You made that decision to be on this show. So I think that she should maybe take a step back because that wasn't necessarily a relationship issue. That was a personality trait issue that he was pointing out.
Right.
I did get a good laugh off of them going paddleboarding.
Yeah.
Henry was like me on a paddleboard.
Henry had fun.
He had fun, but he was like me on a paddleboard. He was not very sure.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, I'm not going to do anything wild and crazy. So paddleboarding is it. And he was, when he grabbed the paddle and he was like, I'm going to just stick this in the middle. Yeah. I was like, Henry, I see you. We see each other.
He was like, I was almost a widow. I haven't got the life insurance yet. I was like, Henry, you're silly. Man.
Like, it was like, down goes Christina and...
Yeah. But that was an opportunity for us to see another side of Henry that we've been wanting to see.
Yeah. And I enjoyed him in that moment.
Right. It feels like in this episode that Henry did open up a little bit more. Mm-hmm. They did talk with him and Christina, like her name slips my mind every week.
His name slipped her mind at the wedding. So I guess y'all in good company.
I guess so. But, like, them talking with the other couples and making like not holding back, not just be like, oh, we're fine. Or, but really saying, hey, we're struggling with this, or not necessarily saying we're struggling with this, but this is where we are. This
is the area for opportunity.
Yeah. This is where we are.
You have your strengths, you have your weaknesses, and you have your opportunities.
Yeah.
And that's an opportunity for them.
The one thing that I did write on here was how I said Henry needs to mind his business and work on his relationship. Christina needs to mind her business and work on her relationship. Telling what's his name?
Brett and Olivia.
Telling Olivia that she don't think the intentions, and I get where she's coming from, talking to Olivia about it.
That was a producer question, so
yeah, I get the whole thing about Brett didn't want to rate humans, which we'll get to later. Yeah, but for Christina to go to Olivia and feel like, oh, I need to tell her these are a sign. I get where you're coming from, but your bigger issue should be your husband. At this point. And I feel like there's too much focus on the other relationship versus focusing on their relationship, because they have issues that can be fixed, but they need to communicate those problems that they're having with each other.
Christina and
Henry.
Yeah. Okay. I was making sure that's who you were talking about.
No, that's who I'm talking about, because I feel like their biggest issue is the communication. Now, we all speculate about Henry, but
there's been a lot of y'all in the comments.
Right.
With your Henry theories.
With the Henry theories, but it all boils down to their communication with each other and figuring out how to communicate with each other. So absolutely. They just need to work on that more and figure out basically take this time to date each other. And then figure out, and not focus so much on what other people are doing. And both of them have done that within the last 2 weeks. So that was my thing.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I took too much.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Sounds good?
Good.
Oh, okay.
All right. On to Amelia and Bennett.
America's favorite couple, by the way, guys.
I think either you're rooting for Amelia and Bennett or Woody and Amani, if not both.
Right. I'm rooting for everybody, man. I want to see everybody happy.
They talked about Bennett living with a previous girlfriend. I guess Amelia has not lived with a significant other before. And he said one of the things that he enjoyed was her leaving night lights on for him when he came home from whatever he was doing.
I don't know what he was doing.
I don't remember what he said he was doing, but whatever it was, he said he likes when she leaves the lights on. And he was talking about anticipating needs. And I think that is a very honest conversation. Like, I never realized how much I needed someone to anticipate my needs until motherhood.
Yeah.
Like, being in a relationship, I always felt like I could figure it out.
Yeah.
But like juggling myself and a child's full self, I'm like, yes, I need for you to anticipate my needs. Like, think about what I might need and do that.
Yeah.
Like, that can help tremendously. So I'm happy that was something that they brought up in the relationship. And and we haven't gotten to Woody and Amani yet, but just like Woody and Amani, I think that Amelia and Bennett are honestly using this time to effectively get to know each other.
Yeah.
Like, they are going down the difficult conversation road and they're making it look easy, and they're navigating things very well to get to know each other. And it might be surface things to some people, but anticipating your needs is a big part of a relationship that people don't think about. Like, you don't want someone that's self-absorbed, which is what we thought Christina was.
Right.
I probably still think Christina is.
Yeah.
But
she ain't changed my mind yet.
Okay. But like, knowing that they're thinking about things like that, and she's like, oh my gosh, I will leave the lights on for you if you fold my laundry. Right.
And
I'm like, girl,
that's a decent trade-off.
Can you send him to my house? Because we got a few laundry baskets right now that need to be folded and put away. They did discuss their parenting styles, which made me a little weary, because we said having your own biological children was unethical.
Right.
And then now we're talking about parenting. I don't know if we're talking about parenting these biological children or these adopted children.
But I think he said he would compromise for that.
Yeah, because she wants to have her own children.
Which makes sense. If you can, you kind of want to, but
it is what it is.
Yeah. No whoopee yet. That by far was the funniest thing to me. No whoopee yet.
There was 2 one-liners in this episode that I liked. I'm gonna get to the other one in the next couple. But yes, no whoopee yet was one of the funnier ones. Which started out with y'all be kissing.
Yeah.
How would you describe your spouse as a fruit? Question felt very much so like the national park question from the wedding.
It did.
And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You said a pineapple, I think.
I just said I like pineapples.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you didn't describe a fruit. Okay.
I didn't.
Whatever. So then we get to the contention in what is their names? Olivia and Brett's relationship when we bring up rating your spouse. Yeah. And it's interesting because Amelia said she would give them a 10 and Bennett said he would give them an 8.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought Bennett was more in than she was.
Right.
Especially after the giggling about having a crush on her. Not to say that he's not all in, because an 8 is still very high for someone that you've known for 7 days. But I thought that was nice that they were at least near the same page with each other as far as how they felt about their relationship.
I didn't even catch their numbers.
I wrote them down.
Oh, okay.
And then 2 more things about them as a couple that I thought were cute. Bennett talking to Amelia and she's snoring. That is our relationship. I'll be talking, he will be snoring. And like can just fall asleep at the drop of a hat. Like it takes absolutely nothing. He could fall asleep in this YouTube video right now.
Stop it.
And then as they were wrapping up for the ending of the honeymoon, he said that the honeymoon has to end because they're out of toothpaste as he rolls up the tube. And I thought about you because one of our earlier disagreements, because we didn't argue about it, but it was an earlier disagreement, was he says that I am wasteful with toothpaste. So I got to the point where I'm like, nope, I'm not going to be the one to throw away the tube. I will squeeze and rub something flat against the bottom of the tube to push all the toothpaste out. That tube is literally going to be flattened, rolled up, and pressed out before I throw it away because of that comment. So I felt like...
Man, you used to savagely grab the middle of the toothpaste. Savagely. And put your toothpaste on the tooth. I'd be like, why did squeeze from the bottom?
Wait until your child starts using toothpaste.
She's going to squeeze from the bottom.
She's going to be like, toothpaste. Anywho, next couple. This is the couple that I think I wrote the least about today, which was Karen and Miles. Karen said some things that bothered me today. During the conversation when Miles poured out his whole heart about being clinically depressed and being on medication, I felt like all she was doing was replaying his Instagram videos in her mind about how she thought he was too emotional. Like that's what it felt like was going on in that moment. Yeah. And I know that could have been editing, but it didn't feel like she was allowing him to be vulnerable in the moment.
No, like it's two ways to look at it. With that whole situation. First off, I feel like Karen wasn't like with you. Karen wasn't supportive enough for that bit of information. Like I feel like that bit of information was like, you know what I'm saying? Why did I get clicked up with him? Because this is not what I wanted to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So because she didn't want to deal with that, that's one thing. And then the other thing was the fact that she's looking for a very masculine, which
I think that's the other thing that bothered me, was because you can be depressed and be masculine. Like depression doesn't make you feminine.
So I don't like, for me, I don't understand the ideals that these folk that people come into. Like, because yes, a man, like most of the time, they haven't gave the opportunity to figure out the roles of their marriage,
correct,
of their relationship. It's been
7 days.
Because it's been 7 days. So for you to be like, he told her about his depression, which is fair.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I would have talked about it on my honeymoon, but the earlier the better.
Right. It's out there. That's fair, I think. But then for her to not ask questions, or the questions that she asked felt so surface level.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been a little bit deeper, like, when did you get it diagnosed?
Yeah.
Like,
how does it affect it? You know, and stuff like it. And they may have talked about it more, or maybe she knew about it. And maybe she knew about it. But the thing that bothered me the most was what you just said about, you know, her looking at his Instagram videos and saying that he's too emotional, but then come to find out he's been clinically...
he's diagnosed with clinical depression.
Yeah. And then for her to always take jabs at he's not masculine enough. I do not know what that means.
That's what I was about to say. I don't know what she's looking for in terms of masculinity, because I have a really, like, my best friend likes men.
Yeah.
But I don't think of him as not masculine.
Yeah.
Because, like, before I had you, he was the guy that did things for me.
Yeah.
If I needed a tire change, which is quote unquote masculine, he did it.
And see, that's
like, he was that person for me.
And that's the thing. It's on the flip side. I don't want to beat up on Karen, but
okay, would be nice.
On the flip side, for Miles, he seems too much like, in this episode, I saw it a lot, but he seems too much like of a loyal dog. And not to call him a dog or anything like that. It's just the loyalty of a dog that you see. Man's best friend. He seems to like.
He wants to be Karen's best friend,
right? If she told him to jump, he'll say how high.
But is that negative?
That's not. I don't feel like that's negative, but I feel like it's more so of him trying to make her happy than him trying to be happy with her.
Oh, here you go, going back to the podcast episode,
That's
making yourself happy.
Right. You know, like I feel like originally you have to make yourself happy, and you can't make her happy by giving your all to whatever it is. Like, I'm conforming to whatever you want to do. No, you have to have some type of, this is what I want to do. Boom, boom, boom. This is what makes me happy. This is what I enjoy. And I enjoy doing it with you. Now I'm learning to, I like to do this. You like to do that. How do we become happy with each other doing those things? And I feel like that's what Karen is missing from Miles. But Miles is just so focused on being the perfect husband. And his thing is, well, if I just do what she asked me to do.
And as you're saying that, I'm thinking back to Miles talking about being in 10 serious relationships.
Yeah.
And that makes sense now. Like, that clicked. Those relationships were serious for Miles because Miles was giving his all to those relationships. Like, he was invested. He was trying to be the perfect future spouse for all of these women instead of letting things happen organically.
Right.
I don't know you. That's just the vibe.
Right.
But I think that they put Karen as Miss Reserved, I think was the name they gave her.
I'm not sure.
I think that she's allowing herself too many reservations in this because you're already married to this person. Like, you need to, like, you signed a marriage license, dude. Like, be all in.
Right.
Like, even if it's just for 8 weeks, if you decide at like week 7, day 6, this not gonna work. Yeah. Okay, you did it. But
give it a valued effort.
Yeah, give it an effort, and don't look at emotions as a negative thing, because I don't think that they are.
Right. And another thing, and I'm gonna drop my case with Karen and Miles, because I really want to see them do well.
I do too.
But with Karen, she has to be able to tell Miles, like, not get to a point to where she feels like that she can just get away with whatever she wants to, but be able to. They both have to look at it and use this time to truly understand the other person.
That's true.
To truly understand what the other person needs and wants. I think they have to realize, like, yes, we've only been married for 6-7 days at that point, at the point of this episode. So serious conversations should be had. Conversations about the next step should be had. You know, they talked about intimacy. That conversations like that should be had. And I felt like the conversation was going, so what do you think about intimacy? And whatever Karen said, that's what Miles was going to go with. But he did put his foot down when she said never. He's like, nah, it can't be no never now. He needs to be intimate because, honestly, man, Miles is a lover. Miles
he
is
seems like he loves and he wants to be in love, and he's loving or pursuing love hard. I can't say he's loving her. He's pursuing love with her
pursuing
hard.
her love hard. This is actually, this experiment seems to be a perfect experiment for a person like Miles.
Yeah, it does.
He just needs to learn how to be himself around and not
what if himself is that ultra loving, loyal?
No, that's fine.
Person.
That's fine. But it has to be some point of self-preservation.
Okay.
You know, I feel like he'll stop a moving train for her. And he's only known her for 7 days.
Man.
Okay.
So last 3 things that I wrote down about them. The fruit that he picked was guava. I was like, guava? Guava's good, but
I ain't never had guava.
Okay. You've had guava flavored things because I bought us guava flavored juice.
Oh.
She gave a 6.5. He gave a 8. I thought that was very that made sense for how they're treating the relationship. And then on the last day, Miles was comparing them to the other couples, and Karen specifically did not want him to compare them to Amani and Woody or Amelia and Bennett, which of course are the 2 couples that everyone is looking to as they got matched. This is working. So,
but it's hard. It's hard for them not to do that because
we got married together,
and they basically have grouped up at least 2 or 3 times throughout their honeymoon. So it's hard to see people that, especially for Miles because Woody is his homeboy.
Yeah, Woody's his best friend.
Right. So it's like Woody is going through the same process I'm going through, but look how happy they are versus us struggling. Or, I guess he can see that they're Karen's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
And he's both feet in the door, all in.
He got his hand out come on, man, come on. You know, so that's hard. But you definitely have to do that.
And so next up, who we were just talking about was Amani and Woody.
Amani and Woody.
I'm going to lead, even though it's the last thing I listed, I'm going to lead with the one-liner that Amani said that made me laugh. You gonna be pissing in the shower?
All I was thinking was Pissgate. Because, was it Olivia and Bennett that talked about it? Not Olivia and Bennett, but Olivia and Brett.
I think so.
Somebody else talked about peeing in the shower. I was like, damn, dog, it goes down the drain. Anyway.
We know how you feel about the shower.
Shit, I don't care. It's water.
So they opened up the episode talking about being intimate and Amani's reservations about it. Yeah. Because Woody said he's good at sex and Amani said she's inexperienced at sex.
Right.
So they were trying to figure out how they can navigate that because she says she doesn't want to essentially have sex with him and then things change.
Yeah.
And then it's just I had sex with him and it was no point in me having sex with him. Well,
let's let the cat out the bag. They did it,
they had sex.
GTD.
So they both rated their relationship. Well, I guess we can go to the dune buggies and the ATV.
That's what they're called, dune buggies.
Yes. They had a blast on the dune buggies. The entire time I'm looking at it, I'm like, that don't look safe.
It looked fun, though.
It didn't look safe. Like at one point, I was like, are y'all at the edge of a cliff? Come back.
It did look like they finna come off the cliff, man.
And like, I'm down for the ride for being a thrill seeker because like, I don't think there's been very many things, with the exception of snorkeling. It's just because I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
There's not been anything that you have suggested, like that's a thrill-seeking thing that I've not been like, okay. Like if you was like, we finna go zip lining through the Amazon rainforest, I would be like, okay, what we need.
We'll give it a go.
So with that, like the ATV and dune buggies, I thought that was fun. Like it just made me nervous looking at them being at the edge. They both did rate their relationship as a 9 out of 9.
Yeah.
I expect, 9 and 9 out of 10. I'm sorry. I put 9 out of 9 on here because I put 9/9. But I think that was very on trend for how they've been treating the relationship. And then I wrote, did we get busy? Because I left the room and I came back and I was like, they had sex.
They did do it.
So
they did.
I don't know how Amani felt about it. I know Woody was proud of his game.
Da, 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 da.
But Amani was just like, whatever. And then they started talking about
nah, she said he did really good.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He's like, really good.
I know that after they had sex, they talked about how when they get back home, they not going to be taking showers together.
Yeah.
So I guess that was her way of saying, look, we ain't finna be doing this all the time. I ain't got time for that.
Right.
Because the shower together thing is cute on your honeymoon, not so much in everyday life. Like, it's just not functional. Yeah. Somebody's cold. The water temperature isn't always right. You be sitting there wet with no soap.
Stop it,
It's
man.
just a lot. It's a lot.
Stop it.
Obviously, I'm talking about this from experience. But that's all I have for Amani and
one
Woody.
thing that caught my eye with Amani and Woody was at the beginning, he asked her, "Are you afraid or scared of me or being in a relationship with me?" Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Yeah."
Oh no, that was about sex.
Oh, that was about sex? Oh. Man, well, never mind then. Shit. They done had sex.
But she said that she was worried, essentially, that things wouldn't work out.
Right.
And that was one of her reservations when they got in the girls group at the bar and the guys over. But the thing that I think about all the time is you have to come in every relationship. And this one being so new for them, because it's only been 6-7 days that they've known each other. Mm-hmm. You have to come in with knowing what happened in your past, but you can't bring your past into this relationship. Right. You
have to go into it with a blank slate and assuming that, hey, this person is really looking out for me. This person is really... You have to build some type of trust to give this person your goodies. Mm-hmm. And that's the key. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, we could see it coming. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
I thought it would have happened like 2 days before it happened.
I did too. But
I thought it was going to happen that day when she was like, you want to take a shower with me?
I thought it happened then, but I don't know.
He got the draws.
Yeah, GTD in this episode.
And we're going to move on to the final couple, Brett and Olivia. So the first part of the episode that I saw was, or not that I saw, but when we rewound, was him explaining why he left the bachelor party earlier when they sat down as a couple with Woody and Amani. I still call BS.
Yeah, I do too.
And that's from someone who knows how drunk her husband was at his bachelor party. It was just like, throw up and keep the party going.
I didn't throw up.
No, you didn't. But I'm saying in general, if that had been you or you thought you were going to throw up.
Oh, I'd have definitely been like, I got to go to the bathroom, man.
And kept the party going.
And but I never would have got that drunk around essentially
people you
strangers.
don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't think we ever saw who he got in the truck with, which also, it wasn't an Uber because he got in the front seat. So that was also a little sketchy for me too. Like,
he probably called a friend.
I don't trust it.
I don't know.
They had Mexican crickets for dinner. That is not on my thrill seeker list, just so you know.
Nah, I wasn't interested in that.
All right. So the next thing that they discussed was finances. And we found out that Olivia makes significantly more than Brett.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he does for a living, but I know she's a nurse practitioner, which could put you in the 6-figure range, depending on where you work, the caseload, things like that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, how the salaries are set. So I can't imagine that, you know, she does well, but like, let's just say he made 30,000 and she made like 110. That makes sense.
The finance thing always kind of like bothers me, which we can talk about that on our podcast. Okay. The finance thing bothers me because we have these old ideas with a new brand of relationships. Right. Because the idea that the man provides and the man should make the most money, that's the only reason that came up. Is because she makes more than him. If he made more than her, it would have been a conversation. It never would have been a conversation. But because she makes more than him, the idea that the man should make more, the man should provide, like, that's unrealistic, man. That was during a time where women worked at home, or were what they call housewives. Where majority of women were housewives. So,
but the times changed when men were going off to war and women had to go out and work. Right. And then at that point in time, once we switched those dynamics, yes, things had to change. You need to pay me what I'm worth. And she's in the medical field. She's a nurse practitioner, which means that she a
step down from a doctor.
Exactly. Like, she's like, literally, come on, man. She can do pretty much everything that a doctor can do as far as diagnosis and all those things. Right. So I would not expect her not to be making that much money. Right. All things considered.
The one thing that did catch my eye though is how much emphasis she put on how much she does, or how hard she works, or how much she works.
Yeah, because she says she goes to work and then she comes home. And I know that with doctors, and it's obviously going to be similar with a nurse practitioner, especially when doctors own their own practice, they do spend a lot of time in the office working, like seeing all the patients they can, and then they come home and chart so that they can see more patients in a day. I'm sure that being single, and I think she said that she had been single for 3 years. Being single made that very easy for her. Yeah. Like, if there's nothing to do but for me to come home to my cats or go see my friends or my siblings or whatever it is.
She did talk about how much she spent with other people.
Like, you come home and you can take a Saturday and knock out all of your charting for the week and be done with it. Because, like, I know how time consuming charting is from working near the medical field. I can't say I worked in it, but I worked adjacent. My nurses that were like working for me spent a ton of time charting. So, I mean, coming home, doing that, you have to like realize that there's going to be a balance, because moving in with each other is very difficult. Yeah. And finding that balance of doing things, like, we're in a new space now, even in our relationship, because you have a lot more time than you have had in the last 3 years. Yeah. So for you to figure out that balance is going to be a lot. And I think that he was trying to shut conversations down about balance.
Well, I don't feel like he was trying to shut the conversation down. I just feel like they're jumping the gun on that conversation.
On finances?
No, on the time.
What are we going to do when we get home?
Yeah, and all that stuff. Just because you'll figure that stuff out. Because you don't know. ideally, yeah, we want to go out. We want to have date night. We want to do this. We want to do that. Boom, boom, we're going to spend time with this person. We're going to spend time with that person. But you don't know what each other do, what, you know, in our spare time. So you got to figure out this new normal for yourself. And
if she has all that time to spend with other people, she can just drop some of the time with other people and spend it with him.
Right. Like the thing about like relationships, new relationships and old friends, those old friends are still going to be old friends.
And you try to find a way to merge your world.
It's not even trying to find a way to merge your world. It's trying to find, this is my normal. Me and you being together. Now the friends that I had, they have to figure out, let me go with we have to figure out, right. We have to figure out how to fit these friends in my new normal, because if those friends don't fit in my new normal, I go off this golden rule. Who am I sleeping with?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Who am I sleeping with? Who do I live with? Who depends on me and who I depend on? You know what I'm saying? So I love my friends to death, but you know, some go, some stay. Friends is friends, you know? If you guys for my whole thing, listening to Olivia and Brett argue about what they're going to be doing.
It was like, blah, 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 blah.
I was just like, man, just move in together and see how it is.
Yeah, you got 7 more weeks.
Yeah, you got time, man.
Let's move on. One of the things that they talked about as well during that conversation was intimacy. And
they did?
Yes, and how soon you should have sex. She said 7th date. He said 3rd date.
Yeah.
And she like gave him the look of disgust. It's interesting that he considers himself they considered him on the show the serial dater. And he's saying 3rd date, we should be doing it. It's like, how often was he going out to get to the 3rd date?
I don't know. That's what makes him seem to be not really into what he's doing. It's because I'm assuming when he talks to them, he always talks about how many dates he went on, and stuff like that. So that's what makes it bad for him. But I still, I don't know. Like this episode kind of made me feel a different way about him. Because it he started to, like them talking about their finances, them like him being really concerned about her rating them a 7, and he didn't want to do the rating.
Oh, he didn't want to do the rating because he heard what she said.
No, he didn't want to do it at first, and then he went back and heard what she said, and his feelings got hurt.
But
because he said it degrades people, and I'm like,
he felt degraded. Like he felt like I'm better than a 7.
But I'm just saying, it's like, man, you know what they mean.
But he felt personally like he's better than a 7, so she should be rating him higher.
Yeah, but
their relationship has not been a 7, in my opinion.
I mean, a 7
from what I've seen,
a 7 is fine,
run of the mill.
You know, I just feel like, again, man, just focus on your relationship. You know, don't get hurt or your feelings hurt because a question was asked and you feel a certain way about it. Talk.
Well, they did, because that's the last thing that I wrote. The next morning, after they had that little, I won't say blow up, it was a little bit of a blow up because she walked out.
Oh no, it's definitely a blow up because
there was no yelling. That's why I don't consider it.
She didn't yell. She says she doesn't yell.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
So after that, they had their calm, rational conversation about it over breakfast.
And that's what made me think differently about him.
Oh, because he could rationalize his emotions.
He thought about it and then rationalized it. I don't know, man. We still got to see. Jury's still out, but he's.
I still feel the same way about him that I felt on episodes.
I feel different. I think he's genuinely trying to make it. He wants it to work based off of day 7. But we definitely will see in the future episodes.
I can't believe that we're like 6 episodes in.
And they're only
we're
on
only
day
on 7 days into the relationship. That just feels asinine.
Yeah. I really think this experiment is like super cool. Just had to put that out there.
You should go become a clergyman and sit in for Dr. Cal. I mean, for Reverend Cal. Pastor Cal. You got any final thoughts about any of the couples?
No, I'm ready to get out of this honeymoon and go to the real world.
I want to go visit this resort.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that too.
Like the little boat thing that they went, the Black Love couple went on, couples went on. I want to go do that.
Yeah.
Like
speedboat?
Yeah, whatever it was called.
I don't know what it was called either.
But we need to go do that like with other people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find a resort that does that. That's not that one because I see what that resort has to offer. I've been there through them. So please, guys, don't forget to like our channel, like this video, subscribe to our channel. Please listen to the August Love Story podcast, as well as Tommy has another podcast called Speaker Geekers Podcast. I am going to add the link for that podcast below.
Okay.
August Love Story is on Facebook, so please find us on there, like us, and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. You have anything else, dear?
Nope.
All right. Well, bye, y'all.